4 reasons to retire in the Philippines. 4 reasons to retire in the Philippines. Reason number 1 is because of the low cost of living. If you go to the Philippines, you can live very cheaply and have a good time. Live very comfortably. In fact, if you've got the average American Social Security check of about $1,250, you'll be good, because you'll only use about 20% of that for housing, another $200 or so for food, and the rest is extra. Money, Wi-Fi, maybe perhaps a local insurance policy, gasoline, taxi cab fares, incidentals, going out with the boys, breakfast at McDonald's. You can use that. You can live very comfortably. Where in America, if you spend $200 a month for rent, what are you getting? Not even a room and a slum. You're not getting very much. So one of the number 1 reasons why Americans consider it, plan, and move to the Philippines is because they have a low cost of living. The number 2 reason is for companionship. Now, I'm not giving these reasons in the order of importance. It's just the facts, the way they're out there. And the number 2 reason, again, is companionship. If you're a lonely guy, you're having a hard time meeting women, perhaps you're in your upper 40s or 50s or 60s and your 70s, and you find out that nobody wants you, go ahead and go to the Philippines. You'll find lots of companionship out there. The taxi cab drivers, the waitresses, the people that work in the markets, the grocery store, the airports. Everyone will want to know if you're single and if you're looking for a wife. And all you've got to do is smile and talk, and they'll smile and talk back with you. So one of the top reasons why Americans go to the Philippines is because of companionship. Also, if you're an older gentleman, a term that one of my daughter uses, if you're an older gentleman, 50, 60, or 70, it's normal to have a girlfriend about half your age. I've known several guys that went to the Philippines and they met someone that was 10, 20, 30 years younger than they are, and they have a happy relationship, whether it's in marriage or just a boyfriend-girlfriend, but they're having a good time. It's a different culture. Some of the guys bring their wife back to America. One guy said he pulled into the drive-in window at the bank, and the bank teller asked him if he wanted a lollipop for his daughter. and his wife, who looked like the daughter, she says, "Yes, ma'am, I'd like to have a lollipop." So anyway, if you're looking for a companionship, whereas the Filipinos normally say age is only a number and it doesn't matter, that's an important factor when considering about making the move. The number 3 reason that I have down here is because the Philippines is a tropical paradise. If you remember some of the old TV programs, Hawaii Five-0, was it Mannix, the private detective in Hawaii? Well, the Philippines is just a paradise. It's beauty. To look at the islands is just beautiful. Now, if you're in the city, well, a city is a city. So if you're in Manila, or you're in New York City, or if you're in Tacloban, or if you're in LA, all the cities are about the same. But if you want a tropical paradise, you get out 10, 15 minutes drive or ride outside of the city, and your eyes will just be feasting on the beauty of the landscape, the beautiful greenish, bluish bays in the sea, the plant life, and the people. It's just a beautiful paradise. And to think that instead of going to the Caribbean for a 5 or 10 day trip, and everything is like, $150, $200 a night, you could actually move to the Philippines and see that type of paradise every single day and live very comfortably on your Social Security check. And if you're fortunate enough to have a Social Security check or a pension plan, and you do take home in your check every month about $2,000, well, you can live like a king. There's one guy that retired from the post office told me at the end of the month he had money to burn because he had already bought everything he needed. And so he had extra money. And he had another $2,000 plus deposit the next month. And the months kept on coming in. He had a companionship, someone that loved him. He was loved by the family. He was living a drama-free, stress-free life in his retirement. In fact, this particular person, who, as I mentioned, retired from the post office, what he did as a hobby, each month he would build a house, a cinder block house, two or three bedroom simple house for a poor Filipino family on their land. He'd supply all the materials and the foreman to lead the crew, and the person, the head of the household, would help. His family and his relatives would help, and they just couldn't believe that this American did this for him. He did this every 3 months, a new house for a new family, nothing expected in return except for a thank you. What a beautiful retirement this American, I believe he's from Louisiana, was doing. Now, the number 3 reason is because, the number 4 reason is because of the Filipino culture. So just to review, the number 1 reason is the low cost of living. You can live like a king on your Social Security check. If your Social Security check is really low, like $700, $600, or even $500, you can live very comfortably in the province. That's out in the rural area, especially because your rent is only going to be less than $100 a month in those areas. The number 2 reason was because of companionship. So you've got the low cost of living, you've got the companionship, and the third is it's a tropical paradise. If you lived up in New England or where they had snow at, forget about snow. Forget about snow tires. Forget about putting antifreeze in the car. Forget about putting on 3 layers of clothing just to go outside or feeling your mustache freeze when you hit the cold air. You're going to love living in a tropical paradise. Imagine living just a 3 or 4 minute walk away from the beach, if that's what you like, or being able to stroll and pick fresh vegetables and fruits, if that's what you like, or just having the companionship or hanging out with the guys, hanging out with the Americans at the Sharky's Pizza at the McDonald's, and having a card game or going fishing or just doing whatever you want to do. That's the type of retirement that people are enjoying. And the 4th reason is because of the Filipino culture. Now, there's a big difference between Filipino culture and American culture. It's more based and circled on family. And that's because they've had to do that in order to survive. Let's face it, in America today, in order to survive, the husband's got to work a full-time job, maybe a part-time job. If he's married, his wife's working full-time. And if they've got kids, they're all working to provide a nice education for the kids. And the husband and wife, they only pass in the morning or in the evening. And sometimes they head on to the second job. After doing that for 20 or 30 years and the kids are grown, the husband and wife, they still only pass in the morning. And eventually, if you're by yourself, the kids are grown and they soon forget you. Everybody's busy. You don't know your neighbor's name across the street or around the corner. You lose track. You're living in a big country and perhaps in a big city, but you only know 4 or 5 people. The Filipino culture is different. It's circled around the family. The family, as a family, they survive. So when you're in the Philippines, if you have a girlfriend or a wife, you quickly become part of the family. Now, I have 3 daughters, and they were raised up in typical American values, and I love them, and they show respect for their father 99% of the time, right? But on the other hand, my daughters ain't serving no man. If you ask her to get something in the kitchen, except for me, because I'm the father, they'll ask the husband, well, what's the matter with your legs? Why don't you get it? Get it yourself. The Philippines is a different culture. I remember one time I was just outside of Cebu City in a town called Argao. I think that's how they pronounce it, Argao, A-A-R-G-O. Anyway, I was having dinner over the mayor's, the chairman of the barangay, which is equal to the mayor in a city or town here. And all the guys, including myself, were in the kitchen, and they were having a nice dinner, and all the wives were in the other room, and they were sitting, and they were talking amongst themselves. Finally, the chairman, he said to his wife, who was in the other room, he called her in. She came in immediately, and he asked her if you get me some more potato salad out of the refrigerator. Well, the refrigerator was only about 10 feet from where he was sitting at, and she was about 20 feet. Now, I know that most women, not all, but most women, you ask them, especially if they were in the girlfriends, would you get something for me out of the refrigerator, honey? They'll say, hey, get it yourself. And all the women will crack up laughing. Well, she got the potato salad for him. She put some on his plate, and she asked him if there was anything else he needed, honey. And he said, no, that's all, and she went back. I was a little bit surprised, and they asked me what was the matter, and I said, in America, that will seldom happen. They'll tell you to get it yourself. If you're out with the guys and you're hanging at McDonald's and you're sitting there drinking coffee, the wife or the girlfriend, and they're over there sitting with their friends, but they're keeping an eye on you. If you need a refill in your coffee, if your sandwich is getting low or you need some water, they're going to come right up and ask them, hey, what can I do for you, dear? Do you need this? Can I get a refill? They're going to serve their husband. Here's a trick question. You try it. Let's do a survey. Ask 10 women if they will serve their husband or serve their boyfriend in America. Guarantee you, 10 out of 10 will say, of course not. I'm not serving anybody, right? Ask 100. Maybe 90 out of that 100 will say, no, I'm not serving you or anybody else. Try it with the Filipina, a girl from the Philippines. Ask her if she would serve her husband and a boyfriend. I guarantee you, 99, if not 100 times out of 100, they will say, yes, of course. Why wouldn't I want to do that? It's a difference in Filipino culture. So why should you retire to the Philippines? Those are a few reasons. You've got a low cost of living. You've got a beautiful tropical paradise. If you're looking for companionship, it's there. And the Filipino culture, especially the girls or the women from the rural areas, you will love their culture. This is Joseph with a few more tips on living in the Philippines. If you like what I said, if you like the content, please give me a like. Hit the like button. If you've got a question or a subject for me to talk about in the future, put it in the comments. And go ahead and hit the subscribe button so the next time I put out a video, you won't miss it. Have a good day.